All right, man, peace. So, heavyweight world title holder Anthony Joshua was able to maintain his share of the belts with a unanimous decision victory over Mr. Joseph Parker in a rather one-sided, lopsided affair, which sets up the super bout against Mr. Deontay Wilder. Once again, brothers, in watching this fight, what I saw from Anthony Joshua is that he's a pretty much meat and potatoes, up and down, straightforward fighter. He does not have particularly good head movement. His feet are a bit slow. Fortunately for him, Parker's feet were quicker than his, but just a tad bit quicker. And Parker was not willing to sell out enough to win the bout. Parker tried to fight off the back foot, even though he has shorter arms. And you're not going to win a fight like that against a fighter like Anthony Joshua, who has a good jab, an educated jab. I wouldn't say that he has the best jab in the division, but he has a good educated jab. And we all know that he hits extremely hard with both hands. So Joseph Parker showed from the start that he really was not willing to win the fight, because in order to beat a champion like Anthony Joshua, you have to come forward, you have to provide pressure, and you cannot be scared of getting knocked out. And Parker was clearly worried about getting knocked out. And he does not have the transcendent boxing skills that it would have taken to fight and beat Anthony Joshua decisively, fighting off of the back foot. So that brings us once again, hopefully, to the potential super bout against Deontay Wilder. We've already seen in Deontay Wilder's last fight that, he has certain things that he brings to the table. He also has some weaknesses, just as Anthony Joshua does, which makes for a potential super bout. Because the greatest and most exciting fights in history are fought between world champions or championship level fighters that have great pros and very glaring cons as well. Like I brought up in the past, the reason why the Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier fights were so great was because the strengths of both fighters were the weaknesses defensively of the other fighter. So Ali's best punch was the jab. Joe Frazier could not stop a great jab. Joe Frazier's best punch was the left hook. Ali could not stop a left hook to save his life. Most of Ali's knockdowns, when he was knocked down by his opponent, came from a left hook. Whether it was Sonny Banks or Henry Cooper, of course Joe Frazier, etc. So that is why when he got in the ring with Joe Frazier, the fights were always exciting. We'll see what happens here with Mr. Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, assuming that they're able to make the fight. I will say this about Anthony Joshua. He showed much better patience in this fight. He also showed much better conditioning than I've seen from him in a while. But it's hard to truly gauge how great his conditioning was, because Parker did not really put the pedal to the metal and try to pressure him and make him react. But when he did pressure him, Joshua did a very good job of wrapping him up, maintaining the pace of the fight that he wanted, and once again going back to that educated jab. Deontay Wilder, if he wants to beat Anthony Joshua, he's going to have to do quite a few things that I'm not quite sure Deontay is going to be able to do, because Joshua's style is much more classical than Deontay Wilder, who has a perfect name. He's very, very wild. Can he catch Joshua with one of those overhand rights? If he does beat Joshua, it's going to be because he catches him with one of those overhand rights followed by a tight left hook. Or maybe knowing Deontay, one of those big wild left hooks that he puts his whole body into. We'll see. I would advise Anthony Joshua to work on tucking his chin behind his left shoulder when he gets in there against Deontay Wilder. That's going to be half the battle. Also using his circular footwork to keep Deontay off balance. Deontay is someone who's always looking for the knockdown, always looking for the knockout. When you're fighting fighters like that, the best way to frustrate them is with circular movement, deliberate circular movement, feints to the body, head movement, and also holding. If you have to, hold and hit. If the ref is not watching, you want to frustrate Deontay because he is a hothead. He is a hothead. And as we saw in his last fight, he can be hurt. He can be wobbled. So we know that he's not someone that necessarily has a chin that is impervious. And Joshua probably has the best power, if not the best power. He's one of the top 3 punchers at that division. All right, so now we heard a lot from Mr. Anthony Joshua there. But the most pertinent thing that I heard him say was that he wants Wilder or Fury at the end of all that. which means that most likely he's going to end up fighting Tyson Fury. Because if he truly was just focused on fighting Deontay Wilder as he was exclaiming, then he would have just said, I just want Wilder. That's all I want. I only want Wilder. So we'll see if they make that happen. Eddie Hearn was kind of trying to finagle his way out of the Wilder match by stating that everything is all good on our end. Basically, what he was implying was that there's an issue in the negotiations with Al Haymon. And Al Haymon does not lose negotiations. Period. So, either Al Haymon gets what he wants or he gets what he wants. There's no in between. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, peace.